Welcome to the Sacred Journey podcast. I'm Elizabeth Marth Tarara, and I'm a certified conscious uncoupling and calling in the one coach, as well as a certified spiritual and emotional growth coach. And my purpose in this podcast is to shift the perspective on midlife changes being something of a crisis to the truth that they are a beautiful opportunity to awaken and a necessary part of our life's journey. I specialize in walking with women who are experiencing disconnect from themselves and who are facing life-changing experiences. And as hard as these situations can be, there is still the truth that these painful times can be the catalyst that can change our lives for the better. Change is what ignites the desire deep within us to reconnect to our true selves and our true divine purpose. It moves us to step up and live the lives we are being called to live, reclaiming yourself and reclaiming your life. So if you are hearing the call to walk this journey, keep listening, because I promise this is going to be good. And remember, life is all about the journey, not the destination. Hello and welcome to the Sacred Journey podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Marth Tarara, and I am so excited to be starting off a new series on boundaries. Just coming off the self-abandonment series that I finished, which if you haven't listened to that, listen to it. There's some great topics in there. We talk about how as women we self-abandon in so many various ways and how we can really start showing up for ourselves. And one of the greatest ways we can start showing up for ourselves is with creating boundaries. So many great boundary books out there. And for this series, what inspired me was Neville Goddard. I've been reading Neville Goddard for a while now, and a lot of Catherine Woodward Thomas's work. She brings him up a lot in conscious uncoupling and calling in the one, and she was who introduced me to his work. But he has lectures on YouTube, and I came across a lecture that blew my freaking mind. I loved this lecture, 9 boundaries that women can create in relationships to really anchor into themselves and create the best relationship for what they're desiring. And he goes through 9, which is funny. There's like so many more. There's probably like 30 different boundaries that come up in this lecture, which I think it's probably cut and pasted. It's YouTube. You take it for what it is. The information is so beautiful. The way he speaks is, to me anyway, it sets my heart on fire. I just love it. So we'll start with a quote because this just gets me. In the quiet of every heart lies a knowing, a pulse that guides and protects. This inner wisdom is the voice of boundaries, so powerful but gentle, urging every woman to honor herself fully. Boundaries are not walls, but invitations whispering, I am here, worthy of respect, worthy of love that sees me as I am. Boundaries are not limiting. They are about defining the sacred space that is each woman's essence, a garden cultivated through self-awareness and love. I swear to God, this is just what gets me. I love this. This is my wish for every person, but women. This is my wish for every woman to know her essence, to know herself, to know her boundaries. And how we do that is really creating our relationship with ourselves, right? Relationship with ourselves, and first and foremost, relationship with our higher power, with spirit, with the divine. So the 9 boundaries. He goes over emotional safety, time and space, personal values, communication, financial independence, spiritual beliefs, conflict, trust and honesty, and personal growth. And then, like I said, there's so many other boundaries that he covers within these main boundaries that I'll be going over also. But for today, we're going to start with emotional safety and time and space. With emotional safety, this is one of the most important boundaries that we can have, and it absolutely begins with ourselves. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, safety is second. The base is food, shelter, warmth. You can look it up. Sorry, it's protection. And I also think that includes like the safety piece, right? Then we kind of go up into our connections in the next level and our relationships, and there's safety in there. My point is safety is paramount to us having health, physical health, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health. We need to be able to feel safe. Often, human beings are skewed in the belief that other people or circumstances can keep us safe. And is that true to a degree? Absolutely. Like survival was necessary in groups, right? Since we've evolved since then, our meaning of safety, especially when we're talking about emotional safety, changes a little bit. So when we look at the childhoods that many of us grew up in, where there may not have been emotional safety, that's going to play a part in how we show up and create emotional safety for ourselves as adults. This is my work. This is what so much of this is based around, right? So when the piece, we have to do our work looking at the past so that we can heal and change our patterns and behaviors and things that aren't working so we can be the healthiest version of ourselves today, right? Emotional intelligence, emotional health, emotional safety. When we are able to create that for ourselves rather than looking externally for it, we absolutely need that within our relationship. There is an external factor, but it starts with creating emotional safety for ourselves. So what does that look like? We have to know ourselves. We have to know what we're feeling. We have to know what we are needing. We have to know who we are. Like, how do we tick? What are our tendencies? What are our shadows? What are the things we keep hidden? What are our codependent tendencies? We just, came off of that from last week. Where do we hide? Creating emotional safety for ourselves when we can see ourselves as whole, that we matter, that we know ourselves, it allows us to step in to be known by another, that we can show our vulnerabilities, we can show our light, we can show our shadow and still love ourselves and trust that the right person will love us as a whole, not just parts of us. So when we're creating emotional safety for ourselves, it really is doing our work, setting the foundation of knowing that we're human, that we're going to fuck up, that there's parts of us that are going to show up, that we're going to continue to evolve to a higher consciousness, to a higher level. And that's part of our human experience, I believe. Right? We are spiritual beings choosing to be here in a human body. So we're going to have a humanness aspect to us, in my opinion. Making sure that we allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling so that we can meet our needs, so that we can share what we're feeling with others and ask for what we need is part of the emotional safety. And setting up a boundary, I'm going to speak for my personal, only really allow people into my close circle that are aligned with the same emotional safety boundaries that I have. So it's really important that listening and honoring and sharing and transforming where necessary is important within my relationship. That's what keeps me emotionally safe. Like, I keep myself emotionally safe. God gives me the guidance of what it is I need to keep myself emotionally safe. So when you look and you go deeper, what are the things that are necessary to keep you emotionally safe? I don't like chaos. I don't like dysfunction. I don't like rageful anger. Do those things still happen in my life? Yeah, in certain situations. And I know how to handle that. I have my tools now, but those aren't things that I want to constantly be around. I have boundaries around that. I have boundaries around things that I know that I'm stepping and crossing out of emotional safety for myself. So what is that for you? The next thing that Goddard talks about is time and space and how necessary it is for a woman to have her time and her space. I'm trying to look at a quote I want to share. Here it is. All right. Let every woman recognize her own boundary around time. Time is precious, the gift each of us receives, and yet it can be so easily surrendered. Let her be unwavering in claiming her time for her passions, her dreams, and the quiet moments that reconnect her to her soul. A partner should embrace this and embrace that her time is her own to share. We can't expect our partners or people in our lives to embrace that our time is our own if we don't do that, right? We can't expect somebody else to do for us what we aren't doing for ourselves. So if you are of the mindset, or maybe you aren't, this might be for you too. How much time and space do you give yourself? How much time and space do you give yourself to dream, to be alone, to close your eyes for 10 minutes and just be? What is your relationship with time? What is your relationship with space? Do you have boundaries around that? Oh, I've always had a morning practice. About 4 years ago was when I really got deep into meditation. And then also included in my morning practice is prayer and journaling. And that is a non-negotiable. Like my kids, my husband, that time is happening. And to be honest, initially it pissed them off a little bit. But I think when they get the better version of me, they understand that it's not a problem anymore. Now they may be annoyed by it, but they don't say anything because it's just my time. I also, in order to create, right, do the different things, have to create time on my own because that's how my well gets filled. In my work that I do, time and space is necessary. I get when I hit little ones, like if you were to tell this to me, time and space, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm like happy to just go to the bathroom on my own. In the seasons of our life, maybe that's what it is. But to cultivate an awareness around it, I do think is important. I wish I would have known this a little bit more when life was so chaotic. I had little ones and taking care of elderly parents and all of that. I also think maybe that wasn't my season. Maybe this is now for now. All of that said, setting up some sort of boundary that you can connect with your soul in solitude, in quiet. I'm going to say for 5 minutes a day, which I think is not enough by any stretch of the imagination. But if that's all you have, what can a boundary look around that? What can you do so that you connect with yourself, with God, and get the guidance of how to get more of that, right? Energetically, when we are trying to create something different, we need to create some of it so that we can create more of it because like attracts like. Okay, I think that is good for this week on emotional safety and time and space. Check out next week where I'm talking about personal values and communication. As always, I hope you have a great week and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for joining me to explore this midlife journey together. Join me next week as we continue to seek within ourselves to find what we are really looking for, so we can awaken to all the bountiful possibilities that life provides, and then align with the beautiful energy of love within each of us. You can also connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. All of the info is in the show notes. And you can check out my website, sacredfreedom.life, where I have my blog, videos, book reviews, meditations, and more. And if you feel so inclined, you can book a complimentary discovery call with me to learn about how you can work with me on your own journey of awakening. See you next week.